It is WKRK Radio, 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide we're at country.am. It is 11:05, and it's time for the weekly radio report from the Sheriff's Office. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night.
No, me neither, but I had a good night. It was good.
Yeah, I threatened somebody to take I was going to plan on taking a nap around 9:30 this morning.
Right.
If there's like 10, 20 minutes of silence on the radio, they knew why.
There you go. I think we could just do that, put on some music, put on maybe some Gaithers or something, and we'll just lay down on the desk and take a nap.
Jazz is good to sleep to, too.
It is.
Smooth jazz.
Yeah.
Especially when the announcers talk like that.
Right.
Okay.
Sound like you're in public broadcasting.
Yes. Relax.
I could never make public broadcasting. I'll get fired because
too excited.
I talk too loud.
Yes, me too. I believe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how has your week been? We've seen a lot of each other this week, haven't we?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together this week.
And I just want to say I really appreciate you for taking time out of your day, because I know you have a lot of things to do, but to be able to honor the veteran who's walking.
I've got all this free time that I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, just free time.
Yeah.
But you took time out of your schedule to pay respects and honor a veteran who is bringing awareness to PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, and we talked about that a little bit.
We did a little bit the week before we talked about it.
And veteran suicide, and that is a serious topic. And I want to say also thanks to Dustin. Let's see. I
think
Ryan Cunningham and Morgan
Morse
was that they helped us as well to make this a reality, and all the kind, generous people in our community. He said on one of his Facebook posts after that, he says, "This is the very first time a town has rolled out the red carpet for me." And Murphy has a special place in his heart. And
well, I thought it was good, all the people just walking up the street that just took time just to go out and bring him some water, just meet him, and just kind of tell him their story. And even after, we went off Facebook Live and was still around town, people were still talking with him and still, sharing their story with him. When we went to eat lunch, several people there came up to him and was talking to him about different things and family members and those issues. And I think it was good in the fact that it is just raising awareness, of the situation that's out there. And a lot of people don't realize this, and I think we did mention this week before, but I want to recap it just a little bit, is that when you talk about PTSD issues, it doesn't necessarily have to be one traumatic event that causes it. It could be a series of events over a person's life. It could be a lot of situations and circumstances that happen that builds up on a person that could create a form of PTSD. And so I think there might be a lot of people out there that may be suffering with PTSD and going through this that may not really realize it. And my wife and I was talking the other night after I came home from helping, meeting him that day and talking. We was talking about PTSD at home, and we were talking about even people like social workers, who go out and deal with these abuse situations and see these horrific things with these children and have to deal with that day in and day out. It wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't social workers out there that are maybe suffering from some form of PTSD. And so it's in all walks of life. It's not just military. It's not just law enforcement, but it could be anything from EMS to social workers, and it could be just your average citizen out there that had a series of tragic events in their life, loss of loved ones, loss of family, loss of job, and it could be a lot of different things that just build up on a person's life that they could be suffering through depression and some other things. And so for anybody out there that think you might be suffering through PTSD or not necessarily that, but even just depression, you're not who you used to be, and you're not happy, you don't feel good, you sleep a lot, and you're kind of not social like you were before, and you think that there's something might be going on. There's no shame in getting help. There's no shame in talking to somebody about it and just trying to talk through whatever situations and problems you may be facing.
You were talking about this whole thing to be raising awareness, and this whole time you were talking there, I was trying to scroll back through my page to look at the video so I could see the stats on it. I post a lot of stuff, apparently.
You do.
But just this one video, we had, it says 93,138 people reached, and out of those 93,000, 15,000, more than 15,000 took the time to watch the video.
That's amazing,
so that is the kind of awareness. And he told me when we were, I don't know if he was in the restaurant, he said, I kind of get weird because I don't think that I'm worthy of people helping me out, and pretty much in our town he just became an instant celebrity because of what's in his heart and what he's wanting to accomplish, and this is one of those things. If I were taking the time to walk from coast to coast to raise awareness about something, I would hope that the town would come and support me.
Right.
And we just want to thank the town for doing that.
Right. Our town really showed up and did a great job just welcoming him and just being there for him. I think a time or two, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I think a time or two, he's kind of like me. He got a little bit emotional on talking about some things and just what he was experiencing here in Murphy and the people that was coming out to support him. And I don't know anything about him as far as his personal life and where he come from and what his family life's like and all those kind of things. So I can attest to that. But I can tell you that I really think what he's doing, he has a pureness of heart with what he's doing. And he really sincerely just wants to raise awareness and get people to start talking about it. And I think that in itself is a great thing.
Thank you so much for participating in that.
Well, thank you.
That meant a lot to me as well.
I had a good time. Just participating.
All right. Let's see. Tomorrow is going to be the kids' fishing rodeo. So let's talk about that.
Okay. Like I say, tomorrow is the fishing rodeo. It'll start about 9 o'clock in the morning. If your parents bring your kids out and let them fish tomorrow, we'll be having hot dog plates and some other things there. For children under 12, it's free. So children gets a free meal. If you're over 12, we ask that you do pay for your plate, so we can kind of get some money reimbursed back for what we spend on this and kind of put money back in our coffer so we don't deplete it. A lot of the things that's done down there is for the benefit of the Fraternal Order of Police and for the Women's Auxiliary and those type of things. Just so you know, and there's no misunderstanding about this, none of the money comes to the sheriff's office. We can't take money. We're not allowed to take money except through finance. It has to all go through the courthouse and through finance. And so when you have these events and these people that are selling plates and taking up money, these are all nonprofit organizations that are taking up these. We have a women's auxiliary unit that does fundraisers, and they do things that for the community and do backpacks and all kind of different stuff. We have, of course, the FOP that's in the area, the Crawford Carringer Memorial Lodge. They're the ones that's actually going to be doing the plates and selling the plates there. So the proceeds and stuff from that goes back to the FOP, and they're just asking to recoup a little bit of money for the money they spend on plates and things. And
see, WKRK is completely different. We'll take all of your money.
You'll take any donation.
Bring all your money here and just leave with me.
Yeah. There are people from time to time, they want to come to the sheriff's office and leave money to make donations and things of that nature. And unfortunately, we can't just take that. We can't just take their money. We have to route that through our finance and through our county finance department and have accounts set up and designated things that people want it designated for a certain thing. That's all it can be spent for, and that has to be documented and tracked. So when the county goes through audits, that can be checked as to what we spend with it. And so we're very particular about that and very particular about the monies that people want to donate and give and what they give it for. And I say this kind of jokingly, but it was really true. The sheriff's school that I attended that went through all the aspects of sheriff and how to be sheriff and what to do once you're in office and all those kind of things. It was a 4-week school, and the whole first week of those 4 weeks was pretty much about all the things you need to know to get started and how you can go to prison. That's about all the first week was about. It's about all the things you could do to go to federal prison. So money was one of the big things, and so we're very particular about making sure that we do that the right way and it goes through the right avenues. And so sometimes it offends people when they want to slip you $100 or give you some money, and I'm like, no, I can't take that. You need to take that to Candy at Finance and run it through her if you want to make a donation. Now, campaign finance is a different situation. People want to donate toward campaign funds, I can take that money, and there's rules and restrictions on that, and I can do that. But as far as money being donated to the sheriff's office, we can't take money for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Well, we talked about the Facebook Live we did earlier this week. We're going to do another one today.
We are.
I'm looking forward to that one.
You just can't get enough of me, can you?
I know. You're going to be so sick of me by the end of the day.
Right.
But I'm going to head over to the sheriff's office after I get off the air today. So around 2:30. One of the things that I think a lot of people they know what 911 is, but they have no idea what it looks like on the inside.
Right.
And how, who's inside there taking calls. Are they sitting there with a phone with a bunch of lights on it? But so today we're going to take a little tour of our 911 dispatch center, the new one,
the new center.
And I
wish there was some way of putting the old center on there and showing the new center so people can see what a great progress it is and how much different it is from the old center.
I can get some photos of the old one too, and we can do the comparison. But I went to both of them. I went backwards. I went to the new one first, and then the old one, and world of a difference.
It's kind of funny because the old center is still in operation. It's our backup center. It's we, by state mandates, we have to have an active center and a backup center. In the event that your active center goes down, we have some backup facility to do that. And so our old center is our backup facility, and in order to keep everything operable and going like it should, we send dispatchers there to operate 1 day a week out of that old center, just to make sure everything's still working, make sure equipment's up, and it meets state standards and all those kind of things. And it's when we first moved to the sheriff's office, there was I don't say a reluctance, but there was kind of a feeling of, I don't know if we really want to go over there or not, But once they got to the new center and saw all the great things that are there and the benefits and how it operates and the stuff, now when they have to go back and work the old center, it's kind of that moan and groan of having to go back, dreading going back and working in the old center for a day. So I think they kind of jostle and fight over there as to who's going to have to go to the old center to work.
I thought it'd be really cool just to show the public when they dial 911 what is actually where they're calling and how.
We don't wish any bad things to happen, but maybe if something does happen, maybe it'll happen while you're there so they can see how the 911 call comes in and how it's put on the display boards and all those kind of things. And
it's amazing how many things they're juggling at one time.
It is. If people only knew what our dispatchers go through, if they only knew when you have a wreck, when you have a bad call, when you have a storm come through, it's literally non-stop, telephones ringing, radio traffic, people calling each other, calling dispatch center, people calling in, and those telecommunicators, those dispatchers have to have so much concentration and so much attention put to what they're doing, because everything they do, every stroke of the key, everything that they put in those systems as far as dispatching stuff out and documenting times and calls and all that, all of that is critical for state audits. All that's critical for lawsuits that may come out later. It's things that can be shown in court and have to have all these things documented as to who said what and what times everything was. And they just do a tremendous job. And I hope that if people can tune in to Facebook Live today and kind of see what we're doing, they can get a better understanding as what the dispatch center goes through.
Yeah, I was very educated when Teresa showed me. She's going to be there today, right?
Right, she'll be there.
She'll be excited to be on camera. See, she thought it was yesterday.
Right.
I said, I think the sheriff thought that Wednesday was Thursday.
I did. I told her, I said, you need to be prepared by 2:30 and have everything up and running and make sure that, tell myself a little bit, make sure everything's clean, make sure everything's up to standards. And she said, I talked to Tim and he said that was Friday. And I said, tomorrow's not Friday. No, this is Wednesday.
I do that a lot. She told me, she goes, I have a couple of dispatchers that are so relieved now that it's not Thursday.
Yeah.
Apparently, either they didn't want to see me or be on camera. I wasn't sure how to take that.
Well, one thing about the dispatch center too, those folks that work in the dispatch center, like I say, they are the hub. They work very hard, but they're used to being behind the scenes, and they're not used to being out front. And so I think when cameras come around and those type of things, they start shying down a little bit because they're not used to being out in the front and being out in the spotlight.
It's a little different.
They're used to being that mysterious voice behind the microphone.
Yeah, it was weird for me being on Facebook Live the other day because it's very often I show my face.
Right.
But for some reason,
what was it you said? You had a face for radio?
I had a face for radio, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I'm on the radio and people normally don't see my face, it's amazing that people will say, hey, Tim.
Right.
They know what I look. The weirdest thing is going through the drive-thru at a restaurant and they say, okay, pull around, Tim.
Right.
What?
They know your voice.
They know the voice.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing, and but I'm looking forward to meeting all the crew at dispatch tomorrow, and we'll just do it not tomorrow, today.
See, you did it, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I just caught Palmeritis.
There you go.
Sheriff Palmeritis.
We kind of got sidetracked there for a minute. Let's go back to the fishing day for just a second, though. I do want to put out a couple of things about fishing day. One is the bait and all that will be provided. So all you need to do is bring your kids, bring a fishing pole, and we'll have different places set up for different kids. We'll have the little pond open. We have it stocked with fish for the very small kids. The smaller kids can fish over there. I say this every year, and I want to say it again. And I know that sometimes people abide by it, sometimes they don't. But, you see these little 3-year-olds come in and 4-year-olds, and as they leave, Daddy's carrying a stringer of fish with like 25, 30 big trout on it, and we know chances are that 3-year-old didn't catch those 30 fish. And
it's not a competition.
It's not a competition. It's not to see how much we can get and take home with us, And what I want to encourage people is, it's not that I mind or that I care. It's just that we have a lot of kids that's trying to catch fish, and a lot of kids that are there to try to get exposed to this. Right. And so it's for the kids. It's not for the adults. And also a reminder that here in just a couple of weeks, we'll have our senior fishing day where the seniors will go down and fish, and schools will come and schools will bring their classes and those type of things. So it's very important that we just don't go just deplete the fish out of the ponds, that we leave enough there for everybody to go around and for other people to be able to come and fish and enjoy it. And this past year, we actually went in and dug those ponds out. And got all the junk out of the bottom of them and made them deeper so the fish wouldn't die. In years past, they had, after it got about July, August, what fish was left was rolling up and dying because of the heat. And what we found after we drained it was those ponds were only about 6 to 8 feet deep, and you would think they'd be a lot deeper than that. But we went in with track hose and we dug those things probably 25, 30 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
We did put a ledge around the outsides to where if a kid was to fall off into the pond, there would be a ledge approximately 3 to 4 feet under the water so that they didn't sink all the way to the bottom. Right. If we did have to jump in and get somebody, there's a ledge that you can stand on. So we try to do those kind of safety precautions and those things around it. But the pond is a lot deeper than it was in years past. And we put some waterfalls in, and we've done some different things to try to keep the oxygen aerated in the water so the fish don't die. And so we've put a lot of time and effort. And one other thing I almost forgot that I want to mention is that Fred Lunsford, through the Lighthouse Ministry, has donated some picnic tables. Oh, and nice. So the Lighthouse Ministry and through Fred Lunsford has donated some picnic tables for the pond, and they have some Bible scripture and stuff embedded into the tables. And so we want to thank him for that and thank him for his generosity. And
I can't say enough good things about Fred Lunsford. Yeah. I've known him since I was a little boy in my single digits.
I think all of us have. I think just about anybody in this area knows Fred.
He's just a kind person and written some books. But he's a good man.
He is. He really is. And he took that upon himself to donate some picnic tables and try to have that presence up there. And so for the senior day and for the kids' day, people would have somewhere to sit down. And even, during the week and when we're off, no bonds up there, let people know, if you'd like to go up there and have a picnic, that's fine. You can go sit at the tables and have a meal and those kind of things. What we do request, though, is if no one's around, we try to request that people not fish in the ponds unless they get permission to do so.
Right.
We do grant permission to people for different reasons. They might not could have made it to fishing day, but their child's home, or the child could have been in the hospital or something like that, and now they're home. So we do let people go up there and fish from time to time. But like I say, we've got all these events that go on through the summer, so we don't like just people just up there just fishing just to be fishing, just to take the fish out of the pond. If you do go up there and fish during those off times, we do request that you do a catch and release and put the fish back in the pond if you don't kill them. So that we can have plenty of those fish to go around. And we have people donate Brown's Trout Farm and Wildlife and different people donate fish for those things. So it's not like that we're out a huge expense with that. It's just a community thing that we want everybody to be able to enjoy it. And I know all those folks up there in Marble, they're just used to going to down there when they had the gardens and all those kind of things. And so it's a place where a lot of people like to just go hang out and just grab lunch or something, you know. So we welcome people to do that.
And for folks that may want to go to the fishing day tomorrow, this complex is just past the red light in Marble, correct?
It is. Go through the light in Marble toward Andrews, and it's on the right just before you get the Cherokee County landfill.
There's a green sign that points. What's the actual name of the facility?
It's the Sheriff's Office Training Center.
Sheriff's Office Training Center.
Right.
So you can look for that sign. Are there going to be other signs up tomorrow?
There will. We actually have a big sign in the median that shows where to turn, and it has a sign that says Kids Fishing Rodeo, and it shows you where to turn there. So anybody coming from the landfill toward Marble or going to Marble toward the landfill can see the big white sign in the middle of the road.
That'll be easy to spot then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people have had no reason to go there that may not know that this is kind of a little hidden area there off the 4-lane. So,
and our firing range is around behind it, and we have our training facility in the front. We have the ponds that people can do that, and then around behind the ponds we have our firing range and where we do our rifle range and our pistol range back there. And we've added some new stuff to that this year for the officers with turning targets and some different things there that we can do more combat training, and built some walls and things people shoot around and shoot through windows and stuff like that. So we're encouraging our officers to train a little bit more and be a little bit more professional in handling of firearms. I know we're getting off on another tangent like we always do, but
we never do that.
Never do that.
What are you talking about?
But just mentioning that real quick, one of the things I've done as sheriff is that, and some people like it, some people don't, but the state minimum qualification score is a 70. You have to qualify 70 points to be authorized to carry a firearm in North Carolina.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we shoot from like the 3-yard line, 5, 7, 15, all the way back to the 25. If you get everything in from the close range back to about the 10 to 15-yard line, you could miss everything in the back and still qualify to carry a firearm in North Carolina. So what we've done through the Sheriff's Office is, even though the state minimum is 70, we've raised our standards, and we've raised our standards to an 80. Have to score at least an 80 to carry a firearm with the Sheriff's Office. And then we're going to continually increase that up more and more over the years to try to get people's qualification scores higher, and so that they're proficient with their firearm, and so that we don't have people out here that's just barely getting by and just barely been able to qualify, that we have people who are proficient with it and professional with it. Most of our officers are already there. Most of our officers shoot in the mid to high 90s already. We do get new people that come along that kind of struggle a little bit starting out. And so that's why we've raised, even though we've raised the minimum score, that's why we kind of left it a little bit lower to work with those people and get them through the training process. But as you can imagine, a bunch of police officers with firearms shooting, it's always a competition who can shoot the best and who gets the high score. So everybody's down there trying to shoot 100%, and we have several that do shoot 100% when they qualify.
When it comes with handling firearms, it's never a problem to strive for excellence.
No, it isn't. It is
good that you're raising the bar.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've tried to do all through the Sheriff's Office, kind of raise that bar on everything we do. And we just want to, acknowledge and just be truthful about things, that things fall through the cracks. We mess up sometimes. We make mistakes. Officers don't always do what they should do. We recognize that and we admit that. But that never should stop us from striving to be better. And we should always be pushing ourselves to try to do better and be better. And so that's kind of what we've tried to develop there at the Sheriff's Office, is not to be happy with where we're at and not to be satisfied with what we're doing, but strive to be better. And when people do come in and call in with valid complaints and said, this officer didn't investigate my case, or I didn't get a call back from somebody, or whatever happened, we always try to take those situations and identify what the problem was, where the breakdown was, and try to fix that so it don't happen again. And like I say, unfortunately, things do happen. We're human. We make mistakes. And there'll be people out there, and we'll always get blasted on social media, and we'll always get blasted in newspapers and different places,
and radio too.
Yeah,
we're really bad for that.
Yeah, but I think overall, I think people see what we're doing, and I think overall the community sees that we are making those efforts and making those attempts to be better. And I know that even though there may be people out there that don't like us, that don't agree with us, that want to see us fail. I think the majority of the people that's out there wants to see us succeed and supports us, and so I'm happy about that.
All right. I know our time is limited as we tend to get it from week to week, but I do want to talk about the gray death drug.
Right.
That is something that Georgia just confirmed their first death from that drug.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about? We just want to warn people. We don't want to create a scare tactic, but they're.
It's a new drug that's out that's basically got a bunch of chemicals mixed in with it, and the combination of these chemicals is what's causing people to overdose. Mm-hmm. What we are seeing in Cherokee County that we know that we have here because we've been testing it is the heroin that we have been seizing and getting off the street. We actually, on our last big heroin bust where we got one of the main suppliers, and I think I believe there was 32 grams of heroin or something out there.
It's quite a bit.
And for people that may not understand that amount, it only takes 4 grams. And 4 grams, you think about a sweet and low packet of sugar, those packets are 1 gram packets. So if you think about it, it only takes about 4 of those packets to be trafficking level in heroin. Okay. So those, if you only had 4 of those packets of sugar, that lasts a long time, and it's a lot of usage, and it's to a lot of people. And you take one of those packets and break it down into tens, and 1/10 of that packet is about a user amount. So each packet is about 10 uses.
Wow.
And so with 32...
That's a good visual to be able to picture this, because I don't know how much 32 grams would be.
And so with 32 grams, that's a huge amount when 4 grams reaches trafficking level. 32 grams is in the high-level trafficking. As a matter of fact, it was the highest amount of heroin that was ever sent to the Western lab to be analyzed.
Wow.
But I tell you all that to tell you this, is that when did I say highest? It was third highest, I think.
Okay.
I don't want to tell something that's not true. I think it was third highest. But the reason I was telling you all that to tell you this is going back to talking about gray death. This heroin that we've been seizing, that we've been getting off the street, is typically gray in color. Mm-hmm. And it's got fentanyl mixed with it. And a lot of people, if you don't realize what fentanyl is, it's basically morphine. And it's very highly addictive. It's dangerous to be around. And even just touching it with your hands can seep through your skin and overdose you just by touching it. You don't even have to use it. You can just touch it, and it'll overdose. Well, the heroin that we've been seizing has been testing positive for that, and it's been testing positive in the labs for that fentanyl in there. This gray death is a little bit different than that. It's a different kind of drug. It's got different chemicals and stuff in it, but it's just a matter of time that we start seeing it mixed with the heroin that we're already seeing. And so we want to tell people out there to take caution with that, because as you go out, if you're a user and you go out and you buy this stuff on the street, you really don't know what you're putting in your system. You don't know what you're putting in your body.
What does it look like? Is it like a cement or a concrete
almost
mixture?
Like gravel. It's almost like a crushed up concrete or gravel, or
very fine.
It can be either way. It can be in bricks, it can be in blocks, or it can be in a powder form. And that's one of the things that's scary about all these drugs, is that depending on who's selling it and how they're selling it, they may alter the appearance of it. And some of it you can even melt down into a liquid and use it as a liquid. So you can't really tell a lot of times just by looking at it. That's why we have to field test things. That's why we have to send it off to the lab to be analyzed to see chemically what it is and what's in it. And that's why a lot of times the court proceedings are backed up, and we have cases in court that takes a year to get through court, or takes a long time to get indicted, is because we have to send this stuff off to the state lab and have it analyzed by the state and get a result back before we can go to trial, or before we can prove what it is.
Is that a state requirement on all the drugs that are seized from people, or is that something your office does?
It's basically a district attorney's requirement. Mm-hmm. And from their standpoint is, without having a lab back from the state, and without some professional, some expert somewhere saying this is the chemical composition and this is what it is and this is the weight, then we have no way of proving it, what it is. Mm-hmm. We may say it's meth, somebody else may say it's Epsom salt, right. and there's just that argument in court of what it really is. But when we get something back from the state that's been analyzed by a chemist, then you got a professional person there with a professional weight and professional diagram as to what it is and what chemical compositions are in it. And that way it takes the argument out of court as to what it actually was.
Why is there such a backup in the lab work? You said sometimes it takes a year to get things back. Why such the backlog?
It's because so many officers and so many offices, sheriff's offices and police departments and highway patrol and SBI and all these law enforcement agencies are sending all this stuff to be analyzed. And as you can imagine, it's just like any other job for a chemist coming in the morning to start analyzing stuff. He can only do so much within an 8-hour day. And so when you're constantly bombarded getting this stuff across the state, we've got 2 labs in the state. We've got one in Skyland and Asheville, and we've got one in Raleigh. So wherever you're at in the state, it goes to one of these 2 labs. And so with all this continually coming in every day, they're receiving more and more and more. And so they can only get to so much and can only analyze so much in a day's time. And so it's just a backlog for them on the lab end of it as far as analyzing it.
So it's basically a supply and demand type situation. There's too much demand for the people we have working that. So I wonder if there's going to be any budget to open any additional.
I'm sure they are. You know, they went through, the SBI went through, they're the ones that kind of in charge of the lab, and the lab is operated under State Bureau of Investigations. They went through this thing a while back where they had some issues and some problems they had to work through and get it fixed. And now they've had new directors. Of course, we got a new governor in, new attorney general. The Highway Patrol's got a new colonel now. So they've got all these new things that's happening in Raleigh. So with all this new blood coming in, I look for things to change and for some things hopefully to get fixed.
When you send that off to a lab, does it have to be a North Carolina lab?
It does, unless it's a federal case. If it's a federal case, it can go to any of the federal labs. It could go to Atlanta or anywhere, Charlotte or.
We were talking about the Gray Death. Is that the street name for it, or is that just something the media has come up with?
It's basically a street name. It's just a street name for the drug itself. Most of the actual names of these drugs I couldn't pronounce if they laid them in front of me.
It's pretty much like reading the back of a shampoo bottle.
Right. That's exactly right. And so it's hard to try to check all these things and know what.
So as a user, would somebody go to their dealer and say, I want so-and-so amount of Gray Death?
They have all kind of different ways, slang terms and codes, and I mean, they're just a million different ways that they talk about these things. A lot of them, and that's what's so scary about teenagers and people buying this stuff and using it, is the fact of that for a parent picking up a cell phone and looking at their teenager's messages, you could read a lot of these messages and they'd be talking about buying and selling drugs and meeting places, but if you didn't know what they were talking about, you just wouldn't recognize it as reading the messages. They may be talking about going and picking up Molly and taking her to Andrews, and Molly may be a slang term for ecstasy, that they're going to go get a load of ecstasy and take it to Andrews. Or it may be, Molly came by today and I gave her $20, It might be saying, I'll take $20 for these pills.
So the parents really need to ask to meet this new friend Molly.
Right. Yeah.
See, so, I have not even gone through. I only use the smiley face emoji on my phone, but apparently some of the emojis on phones are also code words for things like drugs.
And a lot of like when we do our investigations and we see cell phones and analyze them and those type of things, a lot of times part of the interview process is how do you buy the drugs, what slang names, what codes, do you use? And so when they're telling us these things and how people are doing that helps us look in other people's phones that we've seized and pick up on some of those keywords and some of those things to analyze in other people's phones to see, if they're doing the same type of thing. And they're people who are using drugs and in the drug business, we view them as being cracked out and being methed out and they're out of their head and a bunch of zombies walking around. And that's true for a lot of people. But the dealer end of it and the ones that's out buying and dealing this stuff, they're not dumb. They're very smart, and they're very smart about the way they do this. And they look for ways to stay one step ahead of the police and one step ahead of law enforcement out there. And so once we start getting on to them and realizing some slang terms and codes, then they change it up and go into something else. And so it's just a never-ending cat and mouse game. And, that's why it's so hard a lot of times when people call and say, well, I've got neighbors that are dealing drugs and a lot of traffic up and down this street and you're not doing anything about it. We may very well be doing something about it. We may be having undercover people in. We may be doing some undercover work there, and you may not see it. But also, in addition to that, is it takes a long time to build these cases and go through these processes. And midstream an investigation, it may change, and they may start doing things differently. So you have to change the way you're doing it and follow them a different way. And so, like I say, it's just a never-ending cat and mouse game of trying to keep up with everybody out there.
All right. Well, Sheriff, before Odd starts his prayer for me again,
okay,
I better wrap up our show. Anything you want to add before we close out?
No, we just hope everybody comes to the fishing day tomorrow that can. I know we've got different ball games and stuff going on and different family events. One thing I do want to mention real quick, and they'll probably kill me for mentioning on the radio, but I'm going to, is right above the sheriff's office on the hill above the sheriff's office today, we've got a tent set up there. And we did a sheriff's office kind of appreciation today for our officers and their families to kind of come by and grab some barbecue and just tell them how much we appreciate them, kind of thing. We've opened that up to other government agencies, other police departments. If anybody's out there listening like to come by, you're more than welcome to. But I've even told people from the public, if you want to drop by, as long as we got food, if you want to drop by and see us and just fellowship with us this evening, just come on by and we'll be more than happy to talk with you and meet you. So I don't know how long it'll last. We're going to start about 5 o'clock today, and the reason we're starting then is because most of our shift changes are around 6. So we let the people that's going off work have time for them to eat, and the people that's coming home work can get some food too and have their families there. So we're just trying to have a fun day at the sheriff's office and show our employees how much we appreciate them. So anybody that wants to is welcome to come by.
And we certainly do appreciate you and your whole office here from the radio family. And I'll see you again around 2:30. And folks, tune in if you want to watch the Facebook Live video on WKRK's Facebook page. We will take a tour of the new 911 center. Again, I get off the air at 2 o'clock, and I'm going to head over to the sheriff's office, and we'll just do that thing.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
We'll see you then.
I'll see you then. It's WKRK Radio in Murphy, North Carolina, cable TV channel 25, worldwide at country.am, 105.5 FM, 1320 AM. I think I got them all covered.